Did you know that women run the show as well as men when it comes to Mexican drug cartels? And did you know some of them post about their activities on social media like influencers? The world of crime sure can be surprising at times. I'm going to tell you about some of the most ruthless of these female narcos. Meet Maria Guadalupe Lopez Esquivel. Her nickname was La Catrina, taken from a well-dressed and scary female figure associated with Mexico's Day of the Dead celebrations. Why was she called this? It's all part of her profile as a ruthless criminal. Esquivel had a tattoo of La Catrina on her left leg and was a prominent player in a powerful cartel. Another name of hers was the Dame of Death. Let's look at her rise and fall. She was born in the city of Tepalcatepec in Michoacan State. Her father was a rancher and her mother reportedly looked after the home. The young Esquivel was about to go from party girl to cartel member. But how? In 2017, Esquivel was in her teens when she ran off with someone from the Jalisco New Generation Cartel, or CJNG. Established 8 years earlier, this group had broken away from the Millennial Cartel. The CJNG was run by Nemesio Osiguera Cervantes, aka El Mencho, who would have been Esquivel's boss. She also took notice of Mexican-American star Kate del Castillo. This actress wasn't in a cartel, but was famous for appearing in the TV series La Reina del Sur, which focused on a proactive female cartel operative. By the way, the U.S. series Queen of the South is an adaptation of La Reina del Sur, and it seems Esquivel was waiting to sit on her very own throne. She developed a fearsome reputation, rising up in the organization. She went on to be described as the deadliest female boss in the territory. Like an actress or other celebrity, Esquivel wasn't shy of posting on social media. However, rather than promoting a movie or similar high-profile project, she was bringing followers the real-life and bloody action from her high-risk lifestyle. Drugs, kidnapping, extortion, assassinations. Don't be fooled by her appearance. This was one dangerous individual. In fact, the cartel relied on certain people with good looks as part of their business. In October 2019, a police convoy was attacked by the cartel, resulting in 13 deaths. Some believe the officers were deliberately led into a bloodbath. Esquivel's name was connected to the crime. She was drawing more and more attention to herself. Authorities closed in, and there was a brutal standoff in 2020. Esquivel was at a safe house in Michoacan State when the troops arrived. She was shot in the neck, and her demise was caught on camera. Esquivel was approached as she lay against a wall, covered in blood and struggling to breathe. A soldier carried her to a helicopter to try and save her life, but she passed away in the air, aged just 21. This is Emma Coronel Espero, who forever became linked with the infamous Sinaloa cartel. The powerful group was founded in 1989, which, strangely enough, was about the time that Coronel herself was born. And her connection to the cartel was strong due to it happening through marriage to one of the Mexican drug scene's most well-known individuals, El Chapo. More on how they got together shortly. Espero comes from San Francisco, California. Her father, Inez Coronel Barreras, was a prominent Sinaloa member. At a party in 2006, she was to meet the man who would go on to become her husband, Joaquin Archivalo Guzman Lorera, who was over 3 decades older than her. His nickname is El Chapo, or Shorty, which is ironic if you think about it due to his towering status in the Sinaloa cartel. So what kind of party was this? It was apparently a gathering in support of the young Coronel. She wanted to win a pageant called Miss Coffee and Guava, and El Chapo was in attendance. Because she went on to win the pageant, it's been suggested in some reports that her lover had some hand in the situation. Either way, she became a beauty queen. El Chapo popped the question and married Coronel in 2007. Was Mrs. El Chapo the kind of wife who sat at home, knowing little about her husband's business activities? Not at all. She helped with the running of cartel operations when El Chapo went behind bars in 2014. Then he broke out in 2015. Coronel was reportedly involved in the escape plan. She also sat in court supporting him, listening to details of his extramarital affairs, and they still stayed together. Authorities caught up with Coronel herself in 2021 at an airport in Virginia. She was sentenced to 3 years for crimes including drug trafficking and money laundering. It's reported that she may have supplied information about the cartel as part of a deal. With both herself and her husband behind bars, it'll be interesting, putting it mildly, to see how the situation develops. Sandra Avila Beltran spent decades working within the Sinaloa cartel. She was a criminal, of course, but she's also seen as a pioneering figure in a business where women aren't considered to be worth anything most of the time. Her nickname, Queen of the Pacific, came from the way she organized boats of cocaine to travel across the ocean from Mexico to the States. So, how did she become so ruthless? What is her story? Born in 1960 in the Mexican state of Baja California, she too had family ties to the cartels. Growing up in a wealthy household, she's the daughter of Alfonso Villa Quintera. She's also reportedly the niece of Miguel Angel Felix Gallardo, co-founder of the Guadalajara cartel. Her father was a relation of Rafael Caro Quintero, another Guadalajara co-founder. That organization may now be no more, but Avila Beltran was still very much part of the drug trade in Mexico. She was an expert money counter, a skill she practiced since childhood. She was entering her 3rd decade when the Guadalajara shut down in the late 1980s. And what's more, she spent a decade or so working her way to the top with the Sinaloa cartel. However, it could have been different for Avila Beltran. She originally wanted to become become an investigative reporter, but that was derailed when she was kidnapped. Who kidnapped her? Her boyfriend at the time, who was connected to the cartels. With her life as a communications student disrupted, she turned to crime as a means of making her way in the world. Naturally, she was good at it. As well as being a sharpshooter, Avila Beltran could drive a car like a champ and even ride a horse with the best of them. A key part of her lifestyle seems to be that she avoided using the product. She kept a clear head and focused on becoming queen. A nickname for her was La Reina del Sur, i.e. Queen of the South. Yes, Avila Beltran has been acknowledged as an inspiration for the popular TV shows. Her real life was reportedly tougher than the screen version, however. Not only did she lose 2 husbands violently, but her brother also died from torture. When her son was kidnapped and ransomed in 2002, it drew unwanted attention to her. It wasn't long before she had to go on the run. The release of a hit song about her titled Party in the Mountains wasn't welcomed by Avila Beltran, as it put her in the public eye when she was supposed to be keeping a low profile. This was someone who established strong links between the Sinaloa cartel and the Colombian drug market. In 2007, she was caught and spent 7 years behind bars. In 2022, her TikTok posts were reported on, showing how she was now happy to be in the spotlight. Meet Jocelyn Alejandra Nino. She looks happy enough here as she holds that gun, but actually, this was an image that wasn't supposed to be out there. When the photo was anonymously leaked onto a Facebook page about crime in her home state of Tamaulipas, it spread far and wide. The individual people were looking at was a suspected cartel assassin, or sicario. The release of the image only adds to the mystery surrounding Alejandra Nino. I say this because there isn't much known about her background at all. She was born in the 1990s and entered the cartel world in high school. She's believed to have worked for the Gulf Cartel organization, and by the time she became an adult was committing murders in their name. It's assumed she was from a poor background and started off as a lookout or street worker for the group. Ultimately, we don't know, and she can't tell her own story for reasons I'll go into shortly. We know her real name, but her nickname was La Flaca, which translates as the skinny one. Her skinny frame would have been an advantage when being selected by the cartel. After all, who would suspect how dangerous she was if she looked like she couldn't handle a weapon? Which, of course, she could. There's another meaning of La Flaca, and that's Our Lady of Holy Death, or Santa Muerta. This female figure features as part of the Mexican Day of the Dead alongside La Madrina, who I mentioned at the beginning of this video. Alejandra Nino took part in gang warfare with Los Metros, a faction of the Gulf Cartel. Yes, there were factions within the same cartel that were fighting each other. When the picture of her was taken, it's believed she was fighting alongside the Los Ciclones gang. Based in the municipality of Rio Bravo in Tamaulipas, she was putting her life in danger every day. And sadly, it ended in her brutal death in 2015 when she was thought to be in her early 20s at most. After being tortured with 2 other people, she was executed, dismembered, and her body parts left in the city of Matamoros. The authorities found an ice cooler which contained her remains. Los Metros took responsibility for the killings, taking photos of the gruesome crimes and posting them online with a warning. Alejandra Nino needed to be identified by the tattoo of her own name she had on her forearm. This was noted on the image leaked on social media. Who ultimately leaked this photo? Suspicion fell on Los Metros, who in all probability made her identity public to single her out and make her a target for both gangs and law enforcement. Comment was also made about Alejandra Nino's surroundings when the image was taken. The far from glamorous setting hammered home for some the grim reality of life as a soldier for the cartels, be they men or women. We have many more videos about the people who work for Mexican drug cartels. Check out some of the best here.